Today, Billy Joey will be narrating a short essay on the Berlin Wall. Please don't forget to like this video, share it, and subscribe to our channel. Thank you.
The construction of the Berlin Wall was a pivotal moment in the history of the Cold War. The wall, which was erected on August 13, 1961, divided the city of Berlin into east and west, and represented the height of tensions between the Soviet Union and the Western powers. The origins of the Berlin Wall can be traced back to the end of World War II. After the defeat of Nazi Germany, the Allied powers divided Berlin and the rest of Germany into 4 occupation zones. The city of Berlin, which was located deep within the Soviet zone, was also divided into 4 zones. The United States, Great Britain, and France occupied the western sectors of Berlin, while the Soviet Union occupied the eastern sector. In the years that followed, tensions between the Soviet Union and the Western powers grew. The Soviet Union saw the presence of the Western powers in Berlin as a threat and wanted them to leave. The Western powers, on the other hand, saw their presence in Berlin as essential to maintaining a strong presence in Europe. In 1948, the Soviet Union attempted to force the Western powers out of Berlin by blockading the city. The Western powers responded by airlifting supplies to the people of Berlin, and the blockade was eventually lifted. However, the tension between the Soviet Union and the Western powers continued to simmer. In the years that followed, millions of East Germans left their country to escape the communist regime. Many of these people traveled to West Berlin, where they could cross into West Germany and start a new life. This flow of refugees was a significant embarrassment to the communist government of East Germany, and it threatened the stability of the entire Soviet bloc. In response to this situation, the East German government, with the support of the Soviet Union, decided to build a wall to prevent people from leaving. On August 13, 1961, the construction of the Berlin Wall began. The initial construction of the wall was a chaotic and haphazard affair. The East German government had not planned the construction in advance, and so the first sections of the wall were built quickly and without much precision. The first sections of the wall were made of barbed wire, and were meant to serve as a temporary barrier. However, as the days and weeks passed, the wall was expanded and fortified. The construction of the Berlin Wall was a massive undertaking. Over the years, the wall would stretch for more than 100 miles, and would include numerous guard towers, watchtowers, and other fortifications. The wall was built to be an impenetrable barrier, with no fewer than 12 different layers of security measures designed to prevent people from escaping. The building of the wall had a profound impact on the people of Berlin. Families and friends were separated, and people who had lived their entire lives in the city found themselves trapped on one side or the other. The wall became a powerful symbol of the Iron Curtain that separated the capitalist West from the communist East. The construction of the Berlin Wall also had a significant impact on the rest of the world. It heightened tensions between the Soviet Union and the Western powers, and raised fears of a potential military conflict. The Western powers condemned the construction of the wall, but were unable to prevent it from being built. The Berlin Wall also had a significant impact on the relationship between East and West Germany. Before the construction of the wall, people could move freely between East and West Berlin. After the wall was built, the two sides became increasingly isolated from each other, and tensions between the two Germanys grew. In the years that followed, the Berlin Wall became a symbol of oppression and tyranny. The East German government used the wall as a way to control its citizens, and it was a constant reminder of the political and ideological tensions that fueled the Cold War. The fall of the Berlin Wall is one of the most significant events of the 20th century. It marked the end of the Cold War and the beginning of a new era in European history. The wall had separated East and West Berlin since 1961, and its fall on November 9, 1989, was a symbolic moment that signified the reunification of Germany and the end of Soviet domination in Eastern Europe. The Berlin Wall was erected in 1961 by the Communist government of East Germany to prevent citizens from fleeing to the West. It was a physical barrier that stretched for more than 100 miles, encircling West Berlin and dividing the city in two. The wall was a brutal symbol of the Iron Curtain that separated the capitalist West from the communist East. It was also a reminder of the political and ideological tensions that had fueled the Cold War. For years, the Berlin Wall was a potent symbol of the East-West divide. It represented a stark contrast between the prosperous, democratic West and the impoverished, authoritarian East. Many people in East Germany dreamed of escaping to the West, where they would be free from the constraints of communism and could pursue their dreams. However, attempting to cross the Berlin Wall was a dangerous and illegal act that could result in imprisonment, torture, or death. The fall of the Berlin Wall began in Hungary in the summer of 1989. Hungary, which was also part of the Soviet bloc, had recently opened its borders with Austria, allowing East Germans to escape to the West. This decision by the Hungarian government set off a wave of protests and demonstrations in East Germany, as citizens demanded more freedom and an end to the oppressive communist regime. On November 4, 1989, 500,000 people gathered in East Berlin for a peaceful protest against the government. The protest, which was organized by opposition groups, was the largest in East German history. The demonstrators called for democracy, freedom of speech, and an end to the communist regime. The protest ended peacefully, but it was clear that the East German government was losing control of the situation. On November 9, 1989, the government announced that citizens would be allowed to travel to the West without restriction. This decision came as a surprise to many people, and the news spread quickly throughout East Germany. Thousands of East Germans flocked to the Berlin Wall that evening, demanding to be let through. The border guards, who had no instructions on how to deal with the situation, were overwhelmed by the crowds. In a moment that would be broadcast around the world, the guards eventually gave in and opened the gates, allowing people to cross freely between East and West Berlin. The fall of the Berlin Wall was a moment of great joy and celebration. People danced on top of the wall, embracing each other and waving flags. The symbolism of the event was not lost on anyone, as it signified the end of the Cold War and the beginning of a new era of freedom and democracy in Europe. The fall of the Berlin Wall also had far-reaching political consequences. It led to the reunification of Germany, which had been divided since the end of World War II. The reunification process was not without challenges, but it was ultimately successful, and Germany emerged as a strong, united nation in the heart of Europe. The fall of the Berlin Wall also had a significant impact on the rest of Europe. It signaled the end of Soviet domination in Eastern Europe and paved the way for the peaceful democratization of the region. Within a few years, communist regimes had fallen in many countries, and new democracies had emerged. The fall of the Berlin Wall was a moment of hope and optimism. It showed that change was possible, even in the face of seemingly insurmountable obstacles.
Don't forget to subscribe to our channel to keep up with the latest videos. Thank you.